you missed it, the Vols' new defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, went on the Mike Keith show the other day, and it was awesome. It was his first public media appearance since being hired as the new defensive coordinator of the Tennessee Volunteers, and I thought, frankly, he knocked it out of the park. And I get it. It's probably easy to be interviewed by Mike Keith. Mike Keith is the GOAT, but Jim Knowles said a lot of things that I promise you will absolutely fire you up. And if you were a Jim Knowles doubter before, or not a Jim Knowles supporter before, I promise you by the end of today's video or by the end of that video, you're going to have a change of heart. Are you excited for this new look Knowles defense? If you are, do me one big favor. Cast your vote down below by hitting that thumbs up button and liking today's video. Getting into my takeaways from that Jim Knowles interview, number one, the biggest thing that stood out to me was when Mike Keith asked him about his in-game adjustments. Because I don't know about you guys. Like, to me, there were a lot of things that were frustrating about the 2025 season. But I think the most maddening thing of all was the fact that in the second half of games, especially games against good teams, which ended up being your losses on the season, it just felt like nothing was different. It felt like they made zero adjustments when they went into the locker room and came back out onto the field. And then on the opposite side of the field, the opposing teams did a ton of things different and were able to dominate second halves. In your 4 regular season losses, Georgia put 21 on you in the second. Alabama, 14. Oklahoma, 17. Vanderbilt, I was there. It was disgusting. They put up 24 points on you in the final 30 minutes of the game. That averages 19 points per second halves of the game you lost. That'd be 7th worst across all college football. So it's easy to say this is a big thing that needs to be changed under Jim Knowles. And he said, that's a good one to hear, talking about his in-game adjustments, because I think that's the job of a coach in-game, right? It's that you have prepared your players. So you're not really coaching effort during the game. I mean, if you're coaching effort during the game, you made a mistake somewhere else. But late in the system, you need to have answers for everything. So you may not go into the game with a certain call or a group of calls, but then you find out in the game you need to use them. So you need to be able to pull those out. You can't pull those out by making changes at halftime that the players have never heard of. And I don't know about you guys, but it feels to me that Tennessee and their defense is just going to be so much more prepared under Jim Knowles and his wealth of knowledge and experience coaching this game than they were last year. And I also love that little part about how he said, look, if you're coaching effort during the game, you've made a mistake somewhere else. Because I know there were loads of time last year defensively where we're sitting around and wondering about the effort players out there on the field. Number 2, something we've discussed a lot when talking about Jim Knowles, from his hiring all the way up into now, into the transfer portal. Jim Knowles had a complicated defense. All right? That's all that you heard. That's all we talked about. It was cool. He was asked about it, and he kind of set the record straight of, look, is this fact or is this fiction? Is this something that's legitimate or is this just something that's caught on like wildfire and now everybody kind of just says? He said, yeah, I've heard that. Not that I read those things, but people tell me that. So I think they'd go back, and we're working on that now. A lot of guys get stuck in their ways. So if that's what some players have said, I have to take that into account. And we're looking at ways to simplify things early on so we can make more progress quickly. One of the things is having coaches who have been with me, which I haven't had in the past. Guys like Anthony Poindexter joining him in Tennessee. And having some players that have been with me too. So I think we'll be way ahead on both of those accounts. And guys, I have been drilling this in through the entirety of the transfer portal season. Look, getting those 4 Penn State kids wasn't just awesome because they're great players like Amare, Campbell, and Chaz Coleman, but the biggest benefit of all is the fact that they've already played a year under Jim Knowles, so it's nothing new to those guys, which is going to benefit the defense, it's going to benefit them, but I think the biggest thing is it's going to benefit their teammates around them. What do you think the Vols will finish defensively in college football this season? They'll be ranked blank. You fill in that blank down below in the comment section. This one was the most trafficked on social media. In fact, I tweeted it out the day of the interview, and I could tell a lot of people were pumped up about it. He was asked pretty simply, hey, look, what sold you on the University of Tennessee? And he said an answer you might not expect. He said, well, my daughter went to school here. She's 30 now and married, but she's always been my biggest fan. As it all started to come together, she was sending me Rocky Top videos, and she was just over the top excited. But getting to know Coach Heupel for the first time I arrived here, I've always been impressed with Coach's leadership. Kind of followed him from afar. But getting to spend time with him, talking football, hearing his philosophy on how to win, it definitely sold me. First off, I want to shout out Jim Knowles' daughter. I don't know her name, but I want to shout her out for being the best recruiter that Tennessee's got on staff this season. Because landing Jim Knowles might have been the best move that they made since the season wrapped up. So thank you so much to, I don't want to say Mrs. Knowles because he said she was married, but we'll just call her Mrs. Knowles for now. She doesn't care. She's probably not watching this video. Second off, Josh Heupel. Man, I have talked a lot about how I'm impressed with what he's done this offseason. This was one of those big moves we've discussed. And hearing coaches talk about him, wanting to coach for him, because it's not easy to be a defensive coordinator for a Josh Heupel-led offense. It's a lot of plays. It's a lot of tempo. And for as awesome as it is that these guys can score in a minute and a half, it's sometimes a detriment to the defense. They're winded at games. Those 3 and outs, man, for a Josh Heupel team, those are quick. So having a guy that not only wants to come here, be a defensive coordinator, to be one under Josh Heupel is really cool. Which of those offseason moves that we talked about was the best, okay? You can name a hiring, you can name a firing, you can name a portal addition, you can name a recruiting addition. Let me know down below in the comment section. While you're down there in that comment section, you will find this link. It's replied to our pinned comment. chatsports.com/UTBrownT. This t-shirt for just 21 bucks. Not gonna lie to you, I love the Vols shop. It's like my favorite place in Knoxville. Anytime I'm back on campus, I always make sure to go to the Vols shop. The only thing that's a bummer about it is I just go. I rarely buy things because it's a little expensive in there, right? You can get this shirt for just 21 bucks. It was 30, which isn't even that bad for a t-shirt anyway. They went ahead and threw on a 33% discount. Take advantage of it while it's still there. chatsports.com/UTBrownT in the comments and description of today's video. Let's talk about the linebacker room because, as we know, this is Jim Knowles' position, right? He made his way up the coaching ranks as a linebackers coach, and we've talked about this room a lot as being the best and deepest room, not only in the SEC, but I would argue across the country as well. Jim Knowles says it starts with being the quarterback of defense, right? So you have Amare coming from Penn State. You have AC, who's been here, and Edwin. I recruited Edwin. I recruited Arion. I recruited those guys so they know me. Forget about scheme. Right here, I think we got a great room of guys that could really be the quarterback of the defense and run things. And then you have some depth, right? Look, Jaden Perlotti, Edwin Spillman, Arian Carter, Amare Campbell, Jeremiah Thielander. You've got guys on guys on guys, okay? The fact that you were able to get AC, Arian Carter back in the fold after already adding Amare Campbell, Jaden Perlotti, Edwin Spillman, 2 young guys who are going to be another year older, I cannot wait to see this unit. Man, that side of the defense, and try to be the Jim Knowles out there on the field. Again, having Amare Campbell come in from Penn State is such a big deal. Last up, he talked about Derek Owings. It's been the news of the week. New strength coach. You get him from Indiana, a team that just won the national championship. You sent the jet to Miami to pick him up. Did not even let him get back to Bloomington. $1.2 million, ladies and gentlemen. 3 times what the last guy was making. So, of course, had to be a topic of discussion between Mike Keith and Knowles. He said it all starts here, just being around him for a day or two. You can see his attitude and his standards are elite. He's not going to win the games for us. The players will on the field, but you can tell he's going to get them to that point where they can go out and make plays. And when we've discussed Derek Owings this week, it's funny because we've thrown it back a lot to the time you last played Jim Knowles, funny enough. College football playoff game, 2024, December 21st, in the shoe, Ohio State, Tennessee. And it just felt like watching that game, the Buckeyes had a different breed of human on their roster. They were bigger. They were faster. They were stronger. And we've known pretty much since then, look, something needs to change in the strength and conditioning part of the Tennessee Volunteers coaching staff. You added a guy like Derek Owings, who's coming just straight off of a national championship game against Indiana. The players loved him. They've praised him. We've told you what they've had to say. This hire not only sent shockwaves through college football in the locker room, it did the coaching staff as well. Grade that hire for me. A, B, C, D, or F down below. Honestly, it might have been the best move all offseason. I'm giving that an A, and I'm not even thinking twice about it. We're going to get on out of here, but I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Daily Vols videos right here on Tennessee Football Talk.